it mean to build a legacy on your own terms? I'm Tanya Hendrix, and this is Legacy Her Way, the podcast where we explore how women are creating powerful personal legacies through family, faith, business, community, and beyond. From foster moms to founders, creatives to caregivers, we go beyond the buzzwords to talk about real life, real impact, and the values that guide us all. Whether you're building wealth or raising kids or launching your next big thing, this space is for you. And this episode is sponsored by Huntsville Estate Planning Lawyer, LLC, where we empower your vision and secure your future through estate planning and trademarks. So let's talk legacy. Her way, your way, the way that matters most. Today's guest is someone who is building a powerful personal legacy for herself and others. Kristy Krueger is co-founder of Reagan's Clinic. Reagan's Clinic's primary mission is to offer primary care medical services to children with special needs and their siblings. They are located in Madison, Alabama, and specialize in pediatric care with support for developmental delays, autism, ADHD, cerebral palsy, spina bifida, Down syndrome, genetic disorders, and complex medical needs. Kristy is a warrior, personable, and she has a lot of wisdom that she wants to share with us today. So let's just dive right in. Welcome to the show, Kristy.
Hello, thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
I'm so excited that you're joining me. And for today's episode, I am wearing my Reagan's Clinic t-shirt to show support for Reagan's Clinic. So I'm excited. I love my t-shirt. I get comments on it whenever I wear it out. So I'm excited to have that. Now, before we really dive into the conversation surrounding Reagan's Clinic and legacy that we really want to talk about today, I want the audience to hear a little bit about you, which, probably will lead us into talking about Reagan's Clinic, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I have been a registered nurse since 2004. I have two girls. My oldest is 20. My youngest is 18. She's nonverbal and has autism. She's pretty much the inspiration behind Reagan's Clinic since her name is Reagan. And I have worked all over in nursing. I've worked in all different types of fields. I worked from adult ICU, ER. I worked as a sexual assault and forensic nurse for a while. And I did some COVID crisis nursing, which was a little bit crazy. And we actually moved down here to Huntsville for my husband's work in 2017. And that's kind of where I decided that I was going to end up going back to school because we were trying to find a provider for Reagan, for both of my girls when we moved here. But for Reagan, we had to apply everywhere into different pediatric offices. They all told me I had to go online to apply to see if we could be picked up, which I thought was the oddest thing ever. I've never had that before in my life where I usually just call and make an appointment. But they were behind providers here, like for the population that's booming in Huntsville. So I would apply everywhere and I would get phone calls back or nothing back. And I would follow up and they would say, yeah, nobody in our office picked your kids up as patients. So I decided that it was probably because I had to put medical history on there, and a kid with autism can be more difficult. And if you don't know a whole lot about autism, even if you do, you don't know a whole lot about autism still. It's hard. So I decided that I was going to go back to school and become an NP, and I wanted to be the provider that people said, like, where do I take my kid with autism? And I wanted them to say Kristy Krueger.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, tell us, how did Reagan's Clinic come about? I mean, I know you just kind of gave us a little bit of snippet, but take us on that journey of, I'm here in Huntsville. There's nobody that will take either one of my daughters on as a patient. Take us through the steps of, I know you went back to school. When you went back to school, did you already have the idea that you're going to open your own clinic?
I had no idea that I was going to be. I actually thought that I was not going to be opening my clinic. I didn't even take one of the electives we could do was like a business class, and I did a diabetes one instead because I'm like, I'm not doing a business thing. I had no desire whatsoever to run a business. So I ended up finding a place like probably 8 or 9 months after we moved here that would take Reagan, and it was fine. Like, it was just a regular pediatric office. It was fine. I don't even know what I was planning on doing. I just wanted to be somebody that people would be able to be comfortable bringing their kid to me. I ended up coming out of NP school. I ended up working in urgent care for children, which is a pediatric office that does urgent care for birth to 21 or 22, I think we did there. And I liked the idea that it was urgent care, which is kind of hard sometimes for kids to go in and see somebody that they don't know, and that they were connected with Culture City, which is an autism-friendly group. So that was where I ended up going. And then I ended up working at Happy Health, which is a big practice that's in Huntsville. They serve a lot of the underserved population. So I was there for almost 4 years, I think. And I absolutely loved the patients there. I loved the staff that was there. It was kind of hard because they were trying to get us to do a little bit of care for a lot of people, like spreading it out. So we didn't really have a lot of time with our patients and stuff. And I was seeing a lot of kids coming through there that were missing the Medicaid waivers or that didn't have an autism diagnosis, and they're just getting kicked out of school for behaviors because they didn't have an education plan in place for them. And the parents didn't know to ask for it. Like a lot of English as a second language patients. So I was trying there to start just like a little side thing. Like we had family practice there. We did peds there. We did behavioral health. We did urgent care. And I'm like, maybe we could do an autism diagnostic clinic because all these kids are falling through the cracks. So the CMO at the time was on board with it, or I thought she was, and had let me go to like some autism training so that I could do diagnosis type stuff. And yeah, for probably a year, they kept saying, okay, in a couple months, in a couple months, in a couple months. And then I found out Dr. Holquist was getting out of the military, and he was a developmental behavioral pediatrician, and he was going to be doing something with autism. So I reached out to him more as a resource for my patients than anything. And after I reached out to him the first time, he said that we should meet, like sit down and have a conversation. So we ended up doing that on, I think it was September 15th of 2022. Maybe, I don't know. No, not 2022. What year are we in? Probably 24.
25.
Yeah, I don't know what we're in. Let's scratch the date on there because I don't remember what day it was. But I ended up meeting with him, and then we just discussed like kind of things where I was at and where I was seeing problems with the patient populations. He was talking about doing like he wanted to do an autism diagnostic clinic, but cash pay, which our Medicaid patients would not be able to pay for that. And I felt like those were the ones that were falling through the cracks the most. So I told him, like we talked a little bit, I told him I would help him with this clinic. I just needed help getting this other clinic up and running at Happy. And we ended up meeting a bazillion more times and ended up coming up with, let's just do primary care for special needs and complex medical. But so that was a long-winded answer.
But it's a great segue into actually opening Reagan's clinic and what was going through, because you had a job, you were earning a living, you have daughters at home, you had to bring money into the household. So what was that like when the two of you decided, let's open this clinic? I mean, how scary was that?
So that was actually, this is going to probably sound crazy to you because I don't think you know this, but I started working there. I told him I could work for free. We would just live off my husband's income, that I would work there for free until we got the clinic up and running. Like I wanted it to work. I wanted it to be successful. I wanted it to be sustainable. And he was the same. Like he said, I don't need to get paid either. He has his retirement. He has another job. I told him that I would be able to work there until we could get it up and running. So yeah, so it took a while to get stuff moving and get things going. He ended up bringing on another nurse practitioner before we were up and running. So that was a little bit frustrating, but yeah, I don't even remember what your question was. I'm sorry. Like I wanted to get to a point where obviously sustainable and I can work there and be able to get paid.
Yeah. But taking that step, because you were pivoting out of a comfortable job. I was comfortable as in you had a paycheck. I mean, you had the funds coming in, you had a schedule, your daughters have schedules. And so you already had all that in place. And then to open up a new clinic, and I mean, you can't just go turn the lights on in a building for a medical clinic. So,
Yeah. It was a long process, like getting credentialed. We have to get credentialed with the insurance companies. I am credentialed with most insurance companies already, but you have to be credentialed per each location you work at. So even when I worked at Happy, like I had to be credentialed at Sparkman, their Sparkman location, their St. Clair location, their urgent
Oh,
care
wow.
location, like all of these different places. So it's a big, huge, long process. Plus we have to be collaborated because Alabama requires nurse practitioners to work with a collaborative physician. So we're not working under them. We just need to have somebody that we can connect with if we have questions or whatever. So it was all of that stuff, plus finding the clinic, which I ended up finding on Facebook, Facebook Marketplace, instead of an actual building, which was good because it was like a short-term lease to see if things would work or not. And then we had to find supplies and stuff for it. It came with a lot of stuff that was already in it. The staff was not hard to find because they followed me. Like I have staff that followed me from everywhere. If you read our About Us page, like everybody on there mentions the whole reason that they're there is because they're following me. Like they knew what I wanted to do. Our billing lady, our other NP, Cresta, Dr. Holquist even mentions me in his little bio thing. Yeah, they all came from like either Happy or the urgent or ER that I worked in, or there was another pediatric clinic I worked at that they came over from too. But they all reached out to me asking for jobs. So it was kind of nice. I don't really have to find people to work, but yeah, it was scary to leave though and just end up going into this not making any money and hoping it works.
Yeah.
Just like diving into it essentially.
Well, and tell us about the name Reagan's Clinic. Where did it come from?
So Dr. Holquist and I had sat down and talked. We actually talked about it at Panera one day, trying to figure out what we were going to name the clinic. And he didn't really want to name it after himself because he's like, it's not a clinic for me. It's a clinic for the kids, like, or a clinic for our patients. It's not for the doctor. And we had talked about it. He told me to talk to my husband about it and see if he was okay with it if we just named it Reagan's Clinic. So it was actually his idea to bring Reagan's Clinic, like that name, to the clinic, which was, I thought it was crazy. Like I don't know. I just thought it would be ended up being named after him, or it would be named after like some kind of developmental whatever, or some kind of just generic clinic name.
And when did y'all open your doors?
At the very end of June last year. So almost a year.
Okay. So this podcast is Legacy Her Way. When you hear the term legacy, what do you think about?
So I think about leaving like some kind of, our pastor talks about it at church too, like leaving legacy. Like part of that is our legacy giving into the church, leaving something for the people behind us. And that was one of the things when we were trying to figure out what we were going to put on some of our website stuff. That's what I wanted. And there was a new legacy in healthcare. Like I wanted it to be I just think it's very interesting that you're doing this legacy thing. And that was like one of the things that I wanted on the website, that this was going to be a new lasting impact for people coming behind us. Like this was going to be a new standard of care for this underserved population. So I was just hoping it was going to be something that would be here long after I'm gone. Like, even if I'm not dead, like just leave. Like there's other places that would pick up on this and be like, oh, that's a great idea.
At what point did you realize you were building that legacy?
I don't even know. Like that's like there's just people reaching out from all over the place. I think our Google reviews, like stuff that we're getting from feedback from the patients we're getting feedback from all over the place. Like people that we refer to are just talking about, they have nothing but great things to say about our clinic, and they've never had providers ask the questions that we're asking while they're in there, because most pediatric offices don't know a lot about other portions of the special needs community, like the early intervention, even getting tied into the school. I know they know the child find, but they don't know it very intricately. The 504 plans, individualized education plans, Medicaid waivers, which I didn't even find out about until I'd been here for probably 4 years. Like all different kinds of stuff that it's just been really, really good feedback from the community. And I feel like that's when I have started to realize that.
Well, and staying on this, and I've got several more questions, but to ask you, but one of the things, as we're talking about legacy, do you see this legacy as being your legacy, or do you see it as being Reagan's legacy?
So I feel like Reagan is definitely the inspiration for it. So I would probably gear it more towards it being her. Like, she's the reason for the clinic. She's the reason I know what I know. She's the reason that I fight so hard for these kids. Um, for not just kids either. Like, it's spilled over into I volunteer at New Leash on Life. Like, anything, any person or animal that has no voice, like, I want to be their voice if they need a voice.
Mm-hmm.
So I would feel like it's probably more Reagan.
Okay.
And she'd probably feel that way also if she would tell us, because she just loves herself. She's so fun.
Well, and I have to say, for those of you who are listening, if you do not already follow Reagan's Clinic on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, go do that, because Reagan has some wonderful outfits that she wears. And so you have to go and see the outfits that she wears. And it's fun. It's fun to see how she's just so expressive in her clothing choices. And I mean, I don't even know her personally. I just know her from a distance, and she just looks like a fun person.
She's a new age Punky Brewster, I say usually. The new age Punky Brewster. She's a goofball. And when people ask me, like, because everybody with autism has some superpower, they think they do. They're like, "What's Reagan's superpower?" And I'm like, self-esteem, clearly. Like, we have mirrors all over the house. She loves herself. And she's fabulous.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of other parents of children with special needs or children with autism, what is something that you want other moms to know about, advocating for their kids? I mean, as a lawyer, I have had friends, I've had clients who had children with special needs, and it was just, they're constantly fighting schools, medical personnel. So I know, I don't have the personal experience, but I know that there's just a constant fight, which is why I called you a warrior in the beginning, because I know that's what you've had to do. What are some words of advice, or what would you say to a mom listening who's got a child with special needs?
So the biggest thing is that there are other people out there that hear you and that understand what you're going through. You just, sometimes it's hard to find them, but you can find them. It's very lonely sometimes being a special needs parent. Like, you don't have other people that you can connect to that are going through the exact same things that you're going through. But it is definitely difficult with medical. It's difficult. It's difficult to go out in the community, even sometimes with our kiddos, because they don't do well out in the community with other people around. And then you get all the stares or the comments or whatever from other people. I would probably tell them that there are people out there that if you can find them, like, I definitely care about them. If they feel like something's off with their kid, I think that's something that needs to be looked into, because sometimes if our kids can't talk, then they talk to us through behaviors. Their behaviors are how they communicate with us. And also, like, if you feel like you're not being treated right or something's not going right with the school system, there are things that you can look into, and, like, you can get an advocate to go with you for your IEPs at school if you don't feel like your voice is strong enough there. But there's so many things that, like, if they don't feel right, trust your mom instinct or dad instinct, and just, I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that. Like, it's hard. Like, I know you're talking about, like, all of these things are hard to do, the medical and the school and all of that other stuff. But a lot of times these parents are also doing that on zero sleep. Like, their kids don't sleep. Mm-hmm. And I actually have a patient that was at the clinic. I talked to mom yesterday, and she had said that every time she comes in, like, she feels like, and I'm not saying he's not sensitive to this, he is, but he does not live with a kid with special needs. And mom is like, every time I come in there, he says, well, I haven't heard from you for a while, so it must be the sleep. This sleep is the issue. Like, when he sleeps, you're doing good. And she's like, he doesn't sleep. Like, he never sleeps. It's just I'm fighting other battles when I am not here. Like, I have to fight IEP stuff or ABA or OT or speech or dad. They're divorced, so she has to take him back and forth between her, and, like, there's so many other things that she's got to battle. So sometimes it's not just the sleep that she can come talk about every single time. So I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so much.
What would you tell the mom of a child who does not have special needs? Particularly, I'm thinking more along the lines of, what do you wish those moms knew that they could maybe when they're interacting with your child or their children are interacting with your child? What do you wish they would know about that interaction?
So I think that most of our kids, I think, just want to be treated like a normal kid, even if they're not talking and they don't necessarily respond the same way. They still like presume competence in them and that you can talk to them and say things to them. You might not get an answer that you like. Like I had a girl yesterday ask Reagan if she could sit by her, and Reagan said no. like like that's what you're going to get. Like you're going to get brutal honesty. You're going to get exactly what they think or they feel if they do talk. But they are human beings and deserve to be treated just like anybody else. And the mothers need a little compassion.
Yeah.
Parents. But I'm a mom, so I keep saying moms, but.
Well, this podcast is really for women. I'm sure there'll be some men listening, but this podcast is really for women, so it's okay to focus on moms.
Yeah, so. And the siblings are amazing. Like Samantha, her sister is amazing with her. So I think if you want to see how to treat a kiddo with special needs, that you look at the sibling.
The siblings. Yes. I've heard that before. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you've talked about, you kind of have this vision of there being more clinics there being other places, whether in Alabama or outside of Alabama. So is that your idea of success for you or for the clinic, or do you have another idea? What would success look like to you?
So that would be a huge success for me. I've actually talked about that just in passing kind of with other people, that hopefully this would catch on, and maybe in another area, there wouldn't necessarily be a Reagan's clinic, but it would be a Cooper's clinic or just another like Samantha's clinic, or just another clinic named after another kiddo that inspired that clinic. It could still be Reagan's clinic, but I do feel like that would be a huge success. My biggest thing is for success for me is doing, and I feel like this is probably biting off more than I can chew, but I want to be able to I want to be where I can do the most good with what I know. And I think that's a never ending battle. I just keep learning more and wanting to do more and wanting to help more. But that's where I feel like success is for myself.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned your other daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And she's how old?
She's 20.
20. Okay. All right. What is something that she and Reagan are inheriting from you that's not financial, not physical, but they've watched you transition. They've watched these changes, and they've watched you fight for Reagan. They've watched you fight to get the clinic open. What is something that they have learned from you or that they're inheriting from you that's not physical or financial?
I think, and I've been told this before with Reagan too, and for both of them, resilience. Like they are very resilient kids. And I think they're Reagan's not so much, but Samantha's very caring and very fair, like probably more fair-minded than I am. Reagan is just herself, and she knows to speak her mind they do anyway, but she is very much more outspoken than most kids would be, I think. And they both have very outspoken, they speak up for things that they don't think are right.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah.
If you could write a letter to your 20-year-old self, what would it say?
That you're stronger than you think you are. I think that is huge. And that happiness does not come from something else or somebody else, that it comes from within yourself. Like you have to be happy in order to be happy with anything else. So that is my I'm almost 47. I'm just now learning that. And I think that would have been a good thing to know way earlier in life.
Mm-hmm. When you were 20, did you ever envision having a clinic or opening a clinic? Did you ever envision this life?
I did not at all. I didn't even know what I wanted to, like, I had always wanted to go to med school, but where I was at when I was 20 years old was not anywhere near that. Like, I didn't think that that would be something I'd be doing. When I was 20. Yeah, I don't even, I think I ended up going into the Navy for money for school.
Okay. So you're a veteran then?
I am.
Well, thank you for your service. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Were you a nurse in the Navy?
No, I was a nuclear electrician.
Okay. Very different.
Yeah. I got more money for school. Although I could have just let them send me to nursing school, but whatever. I do the hard way all the time.
I have a few more questions I'm going to ask, and then we'll start wrapping it up. What is one thing you're doing now that you wish more women knew they could do?
That's a hard one. I don't even... What I'm doing now that I wish more women could do. I think create their own happiness. I feel like I'm doing that. I think even if it seems impossible, it's still something that you can do. Finding your passion and then just pursuing that. I think that's probably the biggest thing. I think that also helps with happiness.
Mm-hmm. And if someone is listening today who's just now beginning her legacy journey, what's your best advice for them?
To find your passion. That goes back to that. And to not give up. Like you're not going to get anywhere if you don't try. And if you try and fail, you're still not going to get anywhere if you don't continue to try. So don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your legacy. Just keep moving forward.
Keep going, keep moving forward. And I think your story is proof. And I've when I've talked to other people who have started a business or who have followed a passion, oftentimes that passion kind of falls in their lap. That's not something like 20 years ago, this was not a passion of yours.
No.
And so it was not something you had on your radar, but through the circumstances of life, through the birth of Reagan, through the challenges, through that, you're like, something's got to be done and nobody's doing it. So I guess it's going to be me. Yes. So I think that happens to a lot of women, a lot of people in general, but women in particular. We see a need, like something's not working the way it should, in our opinion. And so we jump in and not jump in. I think it takes, you have to take educated risk. You have to research things. Like I said earlier, you didn't just open the clinic. You didn't go flip the light switch on and you have a clinic.
Oh, no.
You have a lot you have to go through. But I think when you have something that falls in your lap, whether it's a child with special needs or whether it's, you're just unhappy with your job and you've got this passion for doing something else, you pivot and start doing that. I think it's just being aware that those opportunities are there and then following that and making sure you get a plan in place, making sure you do all the research to figure out how to do that and not just jump right in and say, this is my passion and just, throw caution to the wind.
Right. And I think that was probably a good thing between Dr. Holquist and I, the pediatrician that I work with, because he's very calm and calculated, and I'm more of the jump in feet first. Let's go. We can do it. It's fine. It'll work out. If it doesn't, we're going to try again. It'll be fine. And I think also I am fortunate enough that I was able to not have to worry about having an income because we were able. So it's also my husband too that was on board with this, that I would go work and get this place established and up and running. But Reagan is also his kiddo and a passion of his, but just in a different way.
Yeah. Well, tell people where they can find Reagan's clinic.
So we are in Madison, Alabama on County Line Road. If we do grow, we hope to grow and get out of this place because it's kind of a small place, but 12205 County Line Road, Suite C. And yeah, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on LinkedIn. I don't have an Instagram yet. I was going to try doing that. And then I started one and Reagan started posting videos on it. So strawberry shortcake, if anybody likes those. I'm like getting messages from people. Did you know? Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, Facebook is probably the best. We have a Facebook page. We have a lot bigger following there than we do on LinkedIn. I try to share the stuff on both sites, like kind of equally, but LinkedIn's more work-ish related than fun. But I still try to put Reagan's fun stuff on there because she's fun.
And who are your patients? Like what age range? Is it anybody, or tell us about that?
So we actually we see some general pediatrics too, not just special needs, just because we're trying to get our census up. But we see from birth, newborn exams up to about 22. We have taken a couple of people that were a little bit older than that. And the only limiting factor we have right now is the fact that Dr. Holquist is a pediatrician. So he is only supposed to technically see up to about 22. I'm a family practice nurse practitioner, so I can see from birth to 110. Like, I just have to have a collaborator that goes from 22 to the beyond the 100. And I have one. We just haven't had the space for it yet. We haven't gotten there, but we will. I do plan on being able to keep our kids once they transition into adulthood. I don't want to have to make them go somewhere else and see somebody else. So who's going to know them better than their person that's been with them for the last however many years?
And that would be difficult for some of those children, wouldn't it? Have to leave and go learn somebody new.
Yes. Yeah. The transition is not an easy thing for them. And we have so many families that come in and their kids, even if they get shots, they're crying when they leave because they don't want to leave, not because they had their shots. Like, they want to hang out, they want to play, they want to do stuff because it's been like a fun experience for them more than a negative experience. So I think that's good.
Yeah, I had I met with the client one day and we did a special needs trust for her son. And I said, have you heard about Reagan's Clinic? And she said, no. And I told her about Reagan's Clinic. She left my office and went by there, called me that night and said, I've signed up. And she loves you. So
that's awesome. That makes me happy.
Yeah, I know that y'all are doing a great job. And I want people to know that they can take their kiddos there. And you do take insurance, is correct?
Yes, we take pretty much any insurance. And then we take any insurance. We take the major Blue Cross Blue Shield anywhere in the United States, essentially, and then TRICARE and Unite. We do everything. Medicaid.
And what's the website?
It is reagansclinic.com.
Okay. Well, I want to echo something that Kristy said, which is you're stronger than you think you are. And I think that is true. I think especially for moms with special needs children, because as I said, I've seen some of the struggles. So I do want to echo that you are stronger than you think you are. But that also goes to every woman out there. We all are facing some challenges in some way. And so as you are, thinking that you can't handle one more thing, you're stronger than you think you are. And so I think Kristy is a testament to that. So I want to thank you, Kristy, for coming on the podcast today. I appreciate your insight and talking about Reagan's Clinic. And I hope that all of you will, check out Reagan's Clinic. Follow them on LinkedIn, follow them on Facebook, and just kind of support them and tell people, if you have friends with children with special needs, in particular, share Reagan's Clinic mission with them and get them out there to sign up. All right, so I want to thank you for listening today to Legacy Her Way. If today's conversation inspired you, moved you, or made you think differently about what legacy means, you're not alone. I mean, you heard an incredible story today about how one mom's fierce determination to make sure her daughter is taken care of, and all children, can make such a huge impact and a lasting legacy. So this is what this show is about. This is what this podcast is about. So thank you, Kristy, for sharing that. Be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling generous, leave a review or help more women find inspiration for their own path to legacy. Until next time, keep building boldly, loving deeply, and living your legacy her way. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.